Hello everybody and welcome back to All the Mods 9. In the previous episode we got started on our new area here, focused more on the create mod as well as Botania. And we also created this train workshop where we're actually going to be building all of our trains, as well as decorated the inside of it, and it is looking pretty nice. Over here is where we are creating our train tracks, and yeah, as you can see, I have gone through and figured out pretty much the path that I want the train to go on. We're gonna have a few little stops here and there, and these will actually allow passengers, mostly myself, to get off and on wherever we need to. In between episodes, I created this little, almost a park inside of our city here, just sort of on the outskirts, and this is kind of how I want the rest of the build to feel, although it's going to be a lot more of a city rather than sort of an outskirts here. So we're going to have a building here, and we're going to have water pouring out of that, and we might even generate a little bit of power from here, but I'm not really sure on that yet. What I want to do today is actually use the central area that we have here and actually get started on Botania. Botania is a very, very unique mod, as it's sort of a magic mod mixed with a tech mod, and it's very much focused around using nature energy in order to perform our different crafts and generation and pretty much everything to do with the mod. So we can go ahead and click our first, maybe not first reward. I guess it kind of wants us to actually get started with making the petal apothecary. Let's see how we need to make this. That's pretty simple. And I might even go for maybe the mossy one. I can't quite make the living rock one. We'll get to that soon. For now, let's just make the basic cobblestone one. And I think what I want to do is just go ahead and place it down here. The petal apothecary is fairly unique. This is essentially the crafting table of the Botania mod. This is where we're going to combine different, usually petals, with other items and create sort of the flowers that generate mana or flowers that use mana. And you can see doing this quest has actually unlocked a huge area over here filled with, I'm assuming these are mostly different generating flowers, but I think a lot of them, such as the hopper hawk, are actually sort of more like machines. So let's get started actually generating mana. The way that we're going to do this is actually with the hydrangeas. I think that's how you say it. This is a flower that will actually consume nearby water source blocks and convert them into mana. So in order to craft the hydrangeas, what we're going to need is blue petals and cyan petals, as well as some seeds and water. If we look at our inventory, you'll notice that we don't have a lot of flowers. The way that we actually get these flowers is by, first off, exploring the world. So what I might do for a little while here is just run around and try to find as many of the Botania flowers as I can possibly get. And here's the first one that is going to be required for this. This is the cyan flower. And here's some red flowers, lime flowers, and here's some more cyans. You'll notice that sometimes there are tall versions, and these ones are actually pretty nice, as they give you twice as many of the petals. Alright, so we at least now have the flowers that were required for the hydrangeas. Now, if you want to get more of the petals, what you can do is actually place down... Sorry, let's actually go ahead and convert these into petals, and then you can go ahead and place those down. If you bone meal them, you'll notice that they grow into the two tall versions. We can go ahead and grab those. These go directly into my AE system right now. Let's try to figure that out. There seems to be some sort of problem with my energy. It looks like I'm not getting anything generated. Interesting. Okay, it looks like my computer craft terminal just didn't turn on today, I guess. You know, sometimes you just gotta wake the computer up, but it should be working now. Here we go. Nice. Alright, so I'm gonna get, some of these cyan ones down now. Oh, and it's time to sleep. I love that resource pack. I keep forgetting I have it installed, though. I was gonna say it again. All right. So now in order to actually craft our flowers, we're actually going to need some water inside of the petal apothecary. The best way to do this is probably just going to be to use a sink. And I actually forgot that this thing doesn't like to be automated, so I'm going to have to figure out another solution in order to do this. All right, so I think that I've come up with a solution that might work. This mod really does not like being automated, so yeah, let's see if this will work. So what I need to do is actually place the items for the craft inside of the barrel, and those will automatically get sent into the petal apothecary via this modular router, which is pulling the items from this box here. Now, in order to get the water, it is a little bit convoluted. This thing really doesn't like to be piped into at all. So what we need to do is actually drop a water bucket on top. And the way I'm doing that is just with a modular router here that's activated only with a redstone pulse. This has a fluid encapsulator below, just filling up these buckets with some water. So when I trigger the pressure plate here, you'll see that it goes into this barrel here and then drops down. The item then disappears and gets vacuumed up with this modular router, and that gets sent back into this barrel, which gets sent back into the fluid encapsulator. And yeah, that's just how we're gonna have to do it, unfortunately. It is very convoluted, but I think at least I got something relatively working, I guess. So for example, the hydrangeas that we need to craft, we're gonna need 2 of the blue petals, 2 cyans, seed, and water. So what we can do now is just place our seed inside, 2 cyans, and 2 blues, and those should all be dropped inside, and it should begin to craft it. And the reason it wasn't working there is because you actually need to throw the seeds in last, so just be aware if you're doing a similar system to mine. So how the hydrangea works is it'll actually consume a nearby source of water, like I mentioned. And let's see if that is close enough. Maybe not. We should see it begin to... it should consume that. Okay, interestingly, it does have to be on the same level, which is good to note. So I think the way that we're going to actually automate this is just by placing another source block there, and that should begin to basically drink this corner here. And you can kind of hear it. Let me turn up the volume really quick. You can kind of hear it drinking. And yeah, that is actually consuming the water and turning that into mana. Here we go. Finally found what I was looking for. I'm sort of just out exploring, trying to find some more of the colors. Specifically, what we're going to need for the next step is going to be the mystical white flowers. Oh, and it looks like my game crashed, and I am at a point right before where I got those flowers. Hopefully I can remember where I got them. Here we go. Wasn't too far away. But my warp stone actually ended up getting deleted. And I don't have any amethyst in my system. Oh no, I'm gonna have to fly all the way back, aren't I? Alright, here we go. We're back. Possibly. Here we go. Thought I crashed once again. Alright, so with all those distractions out of the way, what I want to craft now is the pure daisy. The pure daisy will allow you to convert stone or wood into living rock or living wood, respectively. Living wood and living rock are kind of really important in this mod. As you can see, it's going to be required for a lot of the steps ahead. Namely, we're going to need it for the mana pool. So this craft is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to need 4 of the mystical white petals and a seed. Those should all get sent into there. We also need to trigger our water to go. Here we go. Yeah, it did the weird thing again where the seeds went in last, but doing it manually is also a decent way to go about it. Alright, so I just went ahead and made 4 of these, and we can go ahead and place them, we'll say over here for now. a lot of this area is going to be converted and sort of made into a nice looking area. But yeah, for now, let's get some stone and some logs down. If you do it in sort of a pattern around the daisy like this, it'll actually convert all of these into the living version of these items. Alright, here we go. We have all of these converted now, and we can go ahead and pick these up. And I'm going to go ahead and get started cooking up some more, just because we're probably going to need some more in the near future. But for now, let's go ahead and make our first mana pool. Just like that, with 5 pieces of living rock, we can make our mana pool. I'm just going to place this near our hydrangea, probably about right there. Hopefully it can actually put the mana inside. But I think in order to link that up, we are actually going to need a Wand of the Forest. Craft this is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to need living wood twigs, as well as a couple of petals. Do note though that depending on which petals you actually put inside of here, it'll actually change the color of the little parts on the wand. And crafting the twigs is pretty easy as well. It's just going to be 2 of the living wood logs. And I'm going to go ahead and use cyan and blue because I really like those colors. And now we have our wand. So if we hover over the hydrangea, you can see there's sort of a blue bar beneath it. That's how much mana that it currently has stored. You can also see that there is no mana spreader that it's connected to. So yeah, in order to get mana inside of our pool, we are going to need to craft a mana spreader. These are fairly easy. We're just going to need living wood, copper, and a petal. And we can craft it just like that. And if we go ahead, I think for now I'm just going to place this on top of the pool. We can actually go ahead and place that down. And if we leave it right click and then shift right click, that'll actually point it down into the mana pool. Then all we have to do now is right click again and shift right click there, I believe. Maybe it's go and then that way, right? That way? There we go. Now our mana pool is gonna start filling up with mana. By default, this is gonna be pretty slow, so what I'm gonna do is build out a few more of these sort of mana generators, then we'll come back. Alright, and here is our very basic system of generating mana. One thing to note is that if you already have a mana spreader down, your generators will automatically bind to them, which is pretty nice. Alright, so I'm just gonna quickly go through and claim all of our quest rewards, because we've done quite a few quests already. So the whole reason why we've been sort of generating mana is we're actually going to need it to convert regular items into their mana equivalent, such as mana diamonds, silk, mana glass, mana steel, all sorts of different things. And these materials will be used in the future for crafting different items. So for me, I already technically have this quest completed because I think that I found some mana steel in a chest, something like that. But I'm still going to go ahead and start doing this quest. So it is pretty simple to get mana steel. All we need to do is toss iron into a mana pool, and out from that will spawn a mana steel ingot. It does require quite a lot of mana though, and I don't think that we've been generating a whole lot yet. We can go ahead and give this a quick test. Toss in a ingot. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, you can see that we were only able to make 3, and we've been generating mana for a little while now, so it is going to be a long process at the rate that we're going. So in order to speed this up, what I want to do is actually make a apothecary style building, and this will be sort of the first shop-like building that we're going to have in this area. I think I want to build it right about here, right above my head. So we have this sort of a train station laid out here, but we don't actually have any trains yet. So we do need to keep into consideration how long the train stop needs to be. Probably doesn't need to be this long, but I'd like to reserve the space just in case. So I think what I want to do is move over, probably starting here, moving probably about 7, probably 9 wide-ish. But we can go ahead and make this pretty deep. I'm thinking about 13 or 15. That is 15. I'm wondering if we could maybe go further. But I also need to reserve some space in the middle for a special build that I want to do, that I have planned. So I think what I'm going to do is stick with our, I think this was 9 by 15. And I'll come up with something and then we'll go ahead and come back. Alright, so here is the sort of the greenhouse shop type building, I guess. It's sort of a flower shop if you think about it. So if we go ahead and enter, you will notice that I have a frame door, and that's just with glass inside. I believe this is lime stained glass, and I've just modified it in chipped, and yeah, it's tiled lime stained glass. Then we have the living wood planks as sort of a structural support in this area. And you can see that we have a few pots here and there. These are actually hopping pots, and these are actually growing some flowers inside of them. If we right click, you'll notice that we do have these growing our Botania mystical flowers. We don't have them all here, but it is nice just to have them here and growing. And for sort of the main building, this is where like the employees would like do their work. It is completely empty right now, but we can go ahead and take a look from the outside. It's a pretty plain looking build, I guess. The front of this shop is really where most of the action is happening. I might add some windows here and there, I'm not too sure. But this will be, I think, backed up with some more buildings, something like that. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe we have one facing this way. But yeah, so I'm not too worried about this side and of course this side. But what I'm gonna do is actually get a little bit of a similar setup to this setup inside of the building. And one thing to note about Botania that I kind of forgot is that your generating flowers can actually turn into dead bushes and they will stop working. So yeah, you do kind of need to keep an eye on these. So I'm thinking something a little bit like this. I didn't really calculate the inside of this building very well, so it is going to be a little off center. Sorry about that. But yeah, my plan now is just to tile this up a few, might even go down. Kind of depends on how much mana we're going to need. All right, so I've gone ahead and added the second floor into here. Now we can add our hydrangeas. And we can just place those there. We do need to craft a few more because the rest of these ones turned into dead bushes. Oh, and I almost forgot to add the water, but that is now this system mostly done. Obviously, there's going to be better ways in the future to actually generate mana, but for now we're not really at that point. This system should be good enough for now, and should allow us to craft as much of the mana steel and other mana items that we're going to need in order to continue with Botania. But I think we're going to end things there for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Peace.